Thank you so much for your wonderful support of Chaton Tentong. Now completing our series on the 6 perfections with the final 2, starting today with mental stability or concentration. And we've had such an ongoing, this has been such an ongoing series, starting in October last year. So now August this year. So thank you so much. We are very fortunate to have received such clear explanations from you, Geshe, on the previous perfections and how to practice them. So hopefully we've been able to really benefit from all of this in such an ongoing way, quite different to a weekend. And we're very much looking forward to today's session. And so I would now like to hand over to Ali to make a short offering mandala. And thank you very much, Geshe.
Thank you.
Good morning, Geshe. The short mandala offering. This ground adorned with perfume and strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, the 4 continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this is a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Request for the Lamas to remain long. May my venerable Lama's life be firm, his white divine actions spread in the 10 directions. May the torch of the teachings of Losang always remain, dispelling the darkness of all beings in the 3 realms. Idam Guratnam Mandala Kami Atayami. Thank you.
Okay. So maybe we can take a few moments to generate good intentions. We can think, may us coming here together, giving our precious time to listen, to engage in discussions, reflections. May all of this become cause and conditions to develop strong mental meditative concentrations. So that with that strong meditative concentration, that we can have so we can develop special insight, the wisdom, relaxing emptiness, and the bodhicitta mind, and all other spiritual realizations and experiences. And may it become cause and conditions to actualize and achieve our highest potential, fully awakened state. So we can be greatest help, benefit to not only one sentient beings or few sentient beings, but to each and every sentient beings. Not only just temporary help and benefit, but to be able to help to liberate from all the suffering and cause of suffering permanently. And to be able to help and guide them to not just temporary happiness, but ultimate happiness of fully enlightened state. Okay, so then we can do the refusion Bochida prayer. Sangye Chodan Soge Sonan La Chanchu Pato Dane Jasonch Dagi Jin Soge Be Sononge Dola Penja Sangye Doba Sangye Chodan Soge Sonan Chanchu Pato Dagi Jin Soge Be Sononge Dola Penja Sangye Doba Sangye Chodan Soge Sonan Chanchu Pato Dagi Jin Soge Be Sonan Dola Penja Sangye Doba. So good morning, everyone. And again, it's lovely to see all of you. And thank you for joining today. I guess, yeah, your Sunday morning. Yeah, so so as Jennifer has mentioned, that this has been ongoing series that we did 6 perfections, and we have finished the first 4, and we're doing the last 2 and today the 5th perfections, the practice of perfection, which is meditative concentrations, karma abiding, shamatha, and first of all, the reason to cultivate meditative concentrations, karma abiding, is, the main reason, as Chandeva explained in his Guide to Both the Way of Life, one need to develop or cultivate special insight, the wisdom realizing emptiness, in order to destroy all the afflictive emotions, all the delusions, which is the root of all the problem, all the suffering, samsara. In order to develop that special insight, then first one must cultivate and develop the meditative concentration on karma abiding. Without the meditative concentration on karma abiding, one cannot cultivate the special insight. And without the special insight, then one cannot cut the very root of all the samsara, or all the suffering and the delusions. That is the main purpose, reason, and same, Atisha also explained, without meditative concentration, with a distracted mind, we can practice for a long time, but it will be extremely difficult to achieve anything, spiritual realizations. But when you are able to practice without any distraction, with that kind of meditative concentration, karma abiding, then we can achieve our spiritual realizations easily and very quickly. And so therefore, that is why we need to cultivate, that is the main purpose, even though there are so many different benefit of cultivating the meditative concentrations, so many other benefits, but that is the main, even though of course when we have that kind of karma abiding meditative concentration, then definitely, it will help us to focus in whatever we do, whatever activities we engage, it will help us be able to focus better. It will help us to have more mental peace. Thereby, it will help us to have better physical health, when there's more mental peace, less stress, then also that mental state affect our physical well-beings. So there are many others, but that many reasons to cultivate that. But main reason is for that, to destroy the delusion and the root of delusion completely. And as it is mentioned in the Sutra, and also Kamalashila in his stages of the meditations, he explained about the need to cultivate that the special insight as well as the karma abidings or the meditative concentrations, because through the meditative concentrations or karma abiding, we can stop all the delusion from arising and manifesting. When you are deep in meditations with that kind of karma abiding or meditative concentration, no other thoughts or arise or manifest, and therefore all the afflictive emotion, delusion will be not be able to manifest and disturb, and therefore when those do not manifest and disturb, then of course they cannot harm so much, and also it will have more peace. But at the same time, even though it's not manifesting, but it is still there, and so therefore we have to get rid of them eventually completely, and to do that then we need the wisdom, the special insight. So that is why we need both of them. Okay, so so that is a little bit the reason to cultivate the meditative concentrations, and then in all the Lamrim and Kamalashila stages of the stages of the meditations. In the middle ones, he explained prerequisite preliminary things that we need, having suitable conditions, internal, external suitable condition and internal suitable conditions to be able to develop shamatha, karma abiding, so probably I won't go in details in each of all of them because here at the moment for today, but basically when we have better suitable conditions, environment, external environment, internal environment suitable, then it is easy to meditate and it is more easy to focus. And through that kind of, when the environment is such, when you are able to meditate more easily and more easily able to focus, then of course you have better result. So the condition, external, internal environment condition play an important role. And so that, and then if coming to the actual practice, meditation itself, in the materials, I think it is the ornament of the sutra, how to cultivate meditative concentration, karma abiding through the practice of, overcoming the 5 faults by applying the 8 antidote applications. And through the stages of, 9 stages of the meditations. most of practice is based on that, on how to cultivate the mental concentration, karma, I think based on that, most of them. And then, Kamala Sheila's writing. And we will not go into details since we don't have that kind of the time. We just kind of touch on that without going in detail, First of all, maybe, and I will try to keep it more practical and simple. First, we discuss about the object of meditations. And in terms of the object of, object of the meditations, the object of meditation can be external objects, internal objects, external objects, such as the image of the Buddha, or internal objects, whether it's the breath, whether it's the nature of the mind itself, but, in sutras, in Kamala Shila's stages of the meditations, as in many lamrim, they recommend using the object of meditations, the Buddha's image as the object of meditations. Buddha's image as the object of meditation, even though you can use any kind of objects for your meditations. So, to that, maybe it's just to, in a Samadhi Raja Sutra, the King of Concentration Sutra, Buddha explained about that. A bodhisattva is concentrated when his mind is engaged in the meditative object, that is golden body or beautiful protector of the world. So in that, he explained about the object of, the Buddha explained the object of the meditations or concentrations of the image of the golden body of the Buddha, And similarly, the great Acharya Kamala Shila, the great Indian masters, in his reading three, the stages of meditations, first, second, middle, and third, and in his middle, he also used same, he said, he should fix his mind on the body of the Buddha as he has seen it or heard it described. So if you have an image of the Buddha, whether it's the statue, whether it's a Tanga painting, something you have seen it, so you try to keep that. Or if you have never seen it, pictures or statues, but someone describing you and you heard how, as it is described, so that's what it says. And another great Acharya, Ashwagosha, Chandrakome, he was same as at the time of Chandrakiri. He also said, be firm in your contemplation. Always use one visualization. So again, visualization here referring to the Buddha's image. With too many visualization in succession, your mind will be excited by delusions. So, and then you read Lamrim. That is also all the Lamrim by Lam Tsongkhapa and others. They recommend to use the objects of the meditations, concentration, the Buddha's image. Even though it is not must, you can, as I mentioned, it can be also that is And if we are using a Buddha's image as the object of our concentration, we try to visualize and use, like not so big, not so small, like 4 inches size, in terms of size, 4 inches. Okay. And in terms of the way we keep the visualizations, unlike like other visualization, when we visualize the merit field above our crown or guru in the space, here, when you are trying to develop concentration, meditate concentration, karma abiding, you try to visualize same level as your forehead. If you are looking your eyes straight, where you can see, like your level of your forehead, and maybe 1-2 meters, where you can see clearly if you are looking straight. So, and you try to visualize the Buddha's image, 3-dimensional, alive, instead of like statue, and not flat like the paintings or tanka, but 3-dimensional. And you visualize it with a, light, And not only that, then also it's advised to visualize is like even though it's kind of light in the sense that it has a lot of, rays, kind of like a rainbow body, at the same time, you visualize it's very, very heavy that you cannot move, so it doesn't move. Because if the statue, the image started to move, you get distracted, So you want to be able to visualize where the image of the Buddha is so heavy that it stays there, so it doesn't move. So those are the few of the things we are using Buddha's image as. And there is many reasons why it is using the Buddha's image is has much more greater benefit than using a bread or any other image. But let's not go in that at the moment. And when we are using that, the important things is try not to change the visualization as it is mentioned. If you try to change visualization often, then you get distracted and you will not be able to achieve stability. Because to achieve karma abiding or meditate concentration, you need to develop stability, stable mind, stability. If you keep on changing the object too much, then you cannot develop that stability, and get distracted. And so therefore, whatever image, if you are visualizing Buddha Shakyamuni, it can be Buddha Shakyamuni, it can be medicine Buddha, whatever Buddha you feel more connected, Avalokiteshvara, Tara, whatever. But whatever you choose, whatever particular deity or Buddha's image you decide, then try to keep that all the time. In terms of color, in terms of posture, in terms of size, you try to keep same without changing. If you keep on changing, then it's much more, it will be harder to develop karma abiding. So that is one thing. You try to keep same objects without changing that objects or the meditations, the image or the object of your meditations. And when we try to, okay, so maybe that is And in terms of durations, durations, the advice is when you're trying to develop concentration, major concentrations, try to do many sessions, short but many sessions at the very beginning. If we do a short sessions, the quality of meditation will be better because we can concentrate better in a short period. When it's too long, our mind gets distracted, easily distracted as it gets long, for the beginner, So therefore, instead of trying to long sessions, you can break that long session into 3 short sessions. For example, if you want to do for half hour, if you have time to do half hour, or if you want to do 20 minutes, instead of doing straight 20 minutes or straight 30 minutes, what you would like to do is you might break into 3 sessions of 10 minutes 3 times, Or you might even do 6 sessions of 5 minutes at the very beginning. And slowly 5 to 10, as you get better at 5 minutes without much distraction and with a clarity of your mind, then you can increase to 10 minutes. And instead of 6 before, now you can do 3, And if you get better at that, and then, from 10 minutes, we can increase to 15 minutes and 20 minutes and 30 minutes like that slowly. But at the very beginning, and when we say, like, let's say if you have half hour to do or 20 minutes to do, and if you want to break into 10 minutes of 3 or 5 minutes of, 4 or 6, it doesn't mean that, after 5 minutes, then you kind of get up and go somewhere and like that, For 5 minutes, you can have something that maybe you could have alarm, 5 minutes. And after 5 minutes, then, you end the meditations and you relax a little bit while you are still on cushion, While you are still on cushions, you can kind of move your body a little bit and, kind of refresh a little bit and rest a little bit, maybe a few seconds, 8 minutes or a few seconds. And again, continue 5 more minutes. Again, you rest a little bit while you are still on cushions. And again, you do 5 more minutes like that. So 15 minutes or 20 minutes. And then slowly 5 to 10 minutes. And then if you have half hour, then you do 10 minutes and then you rest a few seconds. And then again, you do 10 minutes. And again, you can rest a few minutes or a few seconds. And again, you can 10 minutes. And in total, you do 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. So, of course, we all like to do it, long in one go from the very beginning, but, that is not the most helpful and beneficial way if you are trying to develop concentrations. And we know our mind, it doesn't take too long to get distracted. It doesn't take too long until we started to think about what we are going to do next, So, but when it's short, you can focus better. When it's short, our mind can focus better. And so our mind can be able to focus short period without so much distractions. And so we train our mind with that. If we train from the very beginning like that, then our mind get used to that, in that habits. When you meditate, when you practice, then your mind is able to kind of focus without distractions. But if we allow our mind to distract from the very beginning, then that our mind get habit in that. And every time you try to sit, then your mind get distracted. Before you are not distracted, but the moment you started to sit and meditate, your mind get distracted. Because your mind has gotten so used to it. It has become habit. The moment your body sits, your mind says, oh, it's time to get distracted. The mind recognize, oh, it's time for me when I sit in like this, it's my time to get distracted. It is interesting, His Holiness quite share, and also in some of the Lamrim teaching as well, and His Holiness share as well, they say, some of the leaders in Tibet, and I guess maybe that's, many, when they need to think something, maybe they need to, they are trying to solve something, they are trying to figure something to solve certain problems, trying to find, and they sit and they cannot find, but then they go in meditation retreats or meditations, and when they started to do retreat, then all this thought comes. That already come before, but when they sit to do retreat and meditate, then all these thoughts started popping up, coming up, what to do, what not to do, and this is best or this is not best, And so it's similar like that. That is what happens sometimes. The moment you sit in cushion, then thoughts comes, which was not coming before, And so that is where when our mind gets kind of habitual in that, So the best is not allow our mind to be in that habit, and to train our mind in a habit. The moment we sit, then we focus without distractions. And at the very beginning, it is hard to do for long time. So short time, when we do short, then we have more success. And slowly, gradually, we try to increase the duration of that. So doing that, we will have a better result. So that is the durations, the object of meditations and the durations. And the practice itself, and again, one of the things is, practical is, let's say we want to do 5 minutes of 3 times, 4 times, or 10 minutes of 3 times, Sometimes when you are meditating, we might have good meditations, not always, but sometimes. Sometimes you are able to focus very well, and without much distractions, you are able to focus well. And because your meditation is so good and well, you enjoy it, you might want to keep it continuing, instead of stopping at 10 minutes or 5 minutes that you decided, you might want to, I'm enjoying so much, maybe I can go for another 10 minutes, another 20 minutes. And so again, and we might do that, but if you are trying to develop a meditative concentration, karma abiding, that is not the best idea. The advice is better to stop when you are still enjoying it. Where you are still enjoying, where still the practice of meditation is good. Because if you stop while you are still having a good practice, while still having enjoying the meditations, then when you want to start next time, when you want to start the next meditation, next practice, you have a good memory of the previous sessions. You have good memory of previous session where you enjoy it and the practice was good. So it gives you kind of inspirations or encouragement and joyfulness in sitting and doing meditations. On other hand, you enjoy and then you keep on kind of going, and then slowly your mind gets distracted, and slowly maybe you get tired, and then you stop there, and then when you want to start next sessions, you have this memory of previous sessions that was tiring, not so enjoyable. So then it doesn't encourage you, give you an inspiration and encourage to do the meditation and practice. So that's another advice, general kind of advice that is given that we try to follow whenever we do any practice, retreat, anything, yeah. And also having that discipline, instead of allowing the mind to go when it wants to stay long, allowing it to stay long, when it doesn't want to stay long or short, allowing it to, we learn to train and have control of mind. So the training is, I want to sit 5 minutes, and it's 5 minutes, we stop there. Or we want to sit for 10 minutes, and we sit for 10 minutes. And when it's 10 minutes, whether we enjoy it, doesn't enjoy it, we stop it. So in that way, again, it is a kind of training to kind of control our mind instead of the mind controlling us, Just like when you are training the dog, isn't it? You don't, sometimes they want to spend more time, or sometimes they want to go more often, and all of that. You don't do that because then, but you train them, when you feed them, when you feed them, they have certain time, certain time to go out, certain time to come in, certain time to eat, all of that. So then they get used to it. It's a training, and same thing. That's how we train our mind, and so. So today, instead of going through all the materials, the 5 faults, and then overcoming those 5 faults or pitfalls by applying those applications or antidote. Maybe because we have a kind of short time, and maybe I can kind of go more through the 9 stages of meditations, because in that 9 stages, of course, those are also included in a way, indirectly, And those 9 stages of meditations are, as you improve your concentration, your attention, your focus, and improve that by overcoming certain obstacles that arise in each of those stages. In the first stages, there is certain obstacles. And through your obstacle in your meditations, in practice, and by overcoming those obstacles by applying certain technique of practice and meditation, then your meditation develop and increase and move to the next stage, and the stage by stage to the 9th stage. And by the time you reach the 9th stage, then you develop, strong meditative concentrations. Where you can, where you are able to sit in your meditation sessions, as much as you want, without any distractions, and without any thinking. with a very stable mind, focused mind, and clarity mind, with alert or intensity, as much as, hour for hours or even for days, there are many stories when these practitioners have achieved that, they can be in that meditation stage for even days without going anywhere, without doing anything, just deep in that, able to stay like that. Not just hours, for days, And before we go to the 9 stages, I wanted to kind of touch a little bit the object of meditation, the image of the Buddha we talk about, visualizing that image happy, as I mentioned before. If you visualize is very happy, immovable, so then it helps it helps from not being too distracted. And then not only that, you visualize is a bright with a light, bright, auras, And when you visualize something as very bright, it helps to not to fall into the dullness or sinking. It gives you more awake, your mind more awake because of the image being bright, with the lights bright. So that is, again, I did mention, but the purpose is that, because those two are the main obstacles in our meditative concentration. To develop meditative concentration, karma abiding is the main obstacles is either distractions or sinking mind or laxity or dullness, whatever, however you put it, different translations, those two are the main obstacles. And there are many different levels of distractions. There are many different levels of the laxity or sinking mind, gross, subtle, most subtle level of the distractions, and gross and subtle and most subtle level of the sinking or laxity, And by overcoming the gross level first, and then slowly overcoming the subtle level, and then eventually overcoming even the most subtle level of those obstacles of the distraction and sinking mind. And through that one develop the karma abiding. And so when you use the Buddha's image, at the very beginning, you try to go in details of the image, okay? Whatever Buddha you are, image of the Buddhas that you are visualizing, you go in the detail from the top to the bottom, the head, color, all the ears, the nose, the mouth, and then slowly, the neck, shoulder, hands posture, and then body posture, and you go in all details. First, you go in like scanning, scanning slowly, go in all details. Once you have scanned and go in all details, then you have general image of that Buddha. And then you just hold on that general image of the Buddha. And when you're trying to hold on the general image of the Buddha, there might not be clarity. You might not see all the clear, the eyes, nose, or all of that. You might have just kind of like a hollow, just some shape. And that is okay. When you are able to hold that shape, even it is not clear, sometimes even the color might not be so clear. And you might not have all clarity, but you have the general shape of that. Even you have that, You don't have to wait, I cannot have the all clarity and trying to go in more. You just keep on that general shape. First, you need to have stability, and then clarity next. And so therefore, in order to have the stability, then you need to keep the object without going to details. So at the very beginning, you start with the details, and then you come to the general image, and then next, the focus is just all in that general image. Okay? So that is another important factors, and it is the advice is don't worry about the clarity. The clarity will come slowly in the futures as the time goes by. At the moment, first is to cultivate your mind being stable. And in order to have that stable mind holding the objects, then, just having unclear general image is just good enough. When you have found and when you have able to hold that object, even there's no clarity, but just the unclear general image, that's just fine. That's just fine to hold on that image to in order to develop material concentration. That is good enough. So you try to, so that is, okay, so that is, so then the first step is placing the mind. That is the first stages, placing the mind to the image or the object of meditations, placing or setting the mind to the object. That is the first stage. Okay. At the very beginning, we might not be able to hold on the image or the object of meditation for long, our mind can be easily distracted, very easily and very quickly get distracted. Very easily and quickly get distracted. But that's fine in the first stages. That's the beginning, So because of that, we have to seek and find the object again and again, We have to seek and find the object again and again and trying to hold on that. And according to different instructions and commentaries, in the first stages, some teachers, they say that if you can keep your mind 5 minutes without getting distracted, then you have kind of achieved the first stages of the 9 stages. And in some other commentaries and masters, they don't give exact kind of the time, but they say, duration of 1 mala of Om Mani Padme mantra. So I don't know what that means, because someone can recite very quickly, so I guess if you are chanting very slowly, maybe, if you are chanting very slowly Om Mani Padme for the durations of 1 mala, 108, without distracted, then that is kind of then that's when you achieve the first stages of the meditation. But in the first stages of meditations, the durations that you are able to hold on the objects and the duration that you get distracted and lose the objects, the duration of losing the objects is more than the duration of being able to keep on the objects and hold on the objects. Okay. And it is also mentioned in many commentaries, that in the first stages, it might appear to our mind, or it might appear to us, there's much more conceptions and the thought, conceptual thoughts, discussion thoughts, more than normal. It might appear that we are having more thoughts than normal when you are meditating. But it says that it's not because there is more thoughts than normal, but it is now we are being aware of that. We are being more aware of those thoughts. And so it feels there's more appearance of thoughts than normal, because normally we are not aware. Thoughts comes and goes, thoughts comes and goes. Most of those thoughts and comes, we are not even aware of that. We only are aware selective thoughts, certain selective thoughts we are aware, but there are so many thoughts that comes and goes, we are not even aware. But when you're trying to meditate in that, then we become more aware of that. And because of that awareness, it feels like there's appearance of more thought, but it is not the case. Then second, it's a continuous placement. Continuous placements. And that is, you try to, in the first stage, you try to, seek and find and trying to hold on that. And you keep on losing it, but you keep on trying to seek and find and trying to hold on that. Then in second stage is that you are able to hold, you give the continuity to be able to hold on the image or the object of meditation for longer durations. So now you are able to hold the object without getting distracted for a little bit more longer durations. So it's not constantly seeking, finding, but now it's a little bit more stability. Now you are able to kind of hold on the objects of meditations, further longer durations, a little bit longer duration than the previous one. So there is more continuity of that holding on instead of seeking and finding all the time. There's more holding on, seeking. And it is said, in these stages, sometimes it appears and you recognize more thoughts coming, and sometimes there's no thought, So there's as though the thoughts are kind of being exhausted or relaxed, so less active, other different thoughts are starting to become less active as it was more active. It is not as active as in the first stages. Now they are becoming less active. Sometimes they appear and sometimes they do not appear, and less active, less movement of those thoughts. So there's sense of those thoughts being kind of exhausted and or relaxed, And so that means, through our concentration, attention, and focus, and meditation, so we are starting to pacify and lessen on some of the thoughts, some of the thoughts, conceptual thoughts that is arising frequently. And third one is recollecting or replacing the mind to the objects of the meditations. Again, even in these stages, still you are bothered by distraction. Of course, less than before, less than first stage and second stage, but still the distractions are active and your meditations interrupted with all those distractions by the different conceptional thoughts and so forth, But you are able to return back to the meditation more quickly. Recollecting or replacing means you are able to bring back your mind to the meditations, to the object very quickly, So you replace the mind to the objects of meditations. And even when you get distracted by different thoughts, but you are able to recognize quickly and you are able to return your mind or reset your mind or replace your mind to the meditation quickly, So in the first and second, even sometimes when you were distracted, it takes a long time before we're aware of that. And before we're able to kind of be aware that we're again distracted. It takes a long time before even we're aware, that some kind of conceptual thoughts have distracted our mind, and to be able to come in quickly. But in the third stages, then you are able to recognize more quickly and able to return back to the meditation and reset it more quickly. So because by third stage, you have been quite familiar with the object of your meditations, and there is some continuity on holding on that, and you are more familiar with that. And so there you are able to re-establish quickly or immediately, even if you get distracted and you lose the objects, you can easily be aware and easily, quickly turn to it. And the next one is close placement or setting of the mind, So through the practice of strong mindfulness, the force of mindfulness, So you are able to concentrate better, and you are able to sit on the object without getting easily distracted because of that your strong mindfulness forces. And so when we are trying to develop karma abiding major concentration, two of the main tools that we need to develop is, mindfulness, the force of mindfulness, and the force of, vigilant or alertness, or discriminating alertness, those two. So here, through the strong force of mindfulness, then, you are able to overcome the gross level of much of the gross level of distractions, And because you are able to overcome the gross level of distractions, so then you lose the object of your meditations. And it said from the point of this point, that fourth stages, you will not lose the object of your meditations. Until third stages, you can lose the object of your meditation through distractions. But from on here, you never lose the object of your meditations. And because of the power of the force of the mindfulness, and here you kind of complete the force of mindfulness, And from here, because of the power of your force of mindfulness, your minds get a little bit kind of withdrawn. And because your mind is a little bit withdrawn through the power of the force of the mindfulness, there is more danger of sinking or laxity of sinking. There is more danger when your mind is withdrawn, then there is And so now you have to apply more vigilant or introspections or alertness. So you have to apply that more strongly from here. Here you have to apply, because if you don't apply that strongly, then your mind can be withdrawn. Because of that withdrawn, then your mind can fall into that kind of sinking or laxity. Even there is no less distractions, but your mind can fall in the other obstacles and the other interference. And so here in this stage, we might not have a long, good meditations, because there is still danger of, interference of gross sinking or inattentive or laxity, so again, you have to pay, you have to be more careful, you have to pay attentions and then alertness. Then the 5 is control or disciplined mind, control, disciplined mind. So here, even though at the 4th stages that we try to apply now more a stronger alertness, and with that, even though it helps to overcome certain level of gross sinking or laxity, but still in 5th stages there is danger of subtle sinking or laxity, and so so therefore we have to heightening or we have to heighten the mind, be more alert and to overcome those subtle sinking and that, and then by applying the alertness or introspection mind, in the 5 and 6, so you begin to have better quality of your meditations, not only you don't have so much of gross distractions, but also you started to have less of gross sinking, even though subtle sinking is still there, you have less of that, and so your quality of meditation get better, and you are able to be more aware of that too, and as you mentioned, from the stage 4 and 5, you never lose the objects of the meditation, whether it's the image, visualization, or whatever object, you never lose that objects. So that is good. That is good, But our attention focus become more sharp in this stage, more sharp, more focus. But still, distractions not completely overcome, still there are subtle distractions that can arises. But the good thing is, even the distraction arises, it cannot take away our mind from the objects. So that is good. It cannot take away, the distraction can arises, but it cannot take away from our objects. So therefore we never lose the objects. And so then the 6 is pacified mind, pacified mind. And it is said, during these stages, we have improved our vigilance or introspection or alertness as we started to apply, more strongly, 4, 5, 6, especially 5 and 6, since we have applied strong force of vigilance or alertness, and so therefore, we have more powerful tool of that, and through the powerful tool of that, So we are beginning to be more aware and knowledge about those different interference and obstacles of, we're having more knowledge and more aware of that. And therefore, when we have more knowledge and more aware of that, then we have better way to deal with them, that we begin to find better techniques and more techniques to overcome those obstacles and interference. As we apply very strong force of alertness, then it creates another danger of excitement. When your mind is too withdrawn, there's a danger of sinking. When your mind is too alert, there's a danger of excitement. And that is why one of the masters says, it's so difficult to develop that balance, equanimity, mind of meditative concentration that's free from both distraction and excitement, as well as sinking and laxities. Because when you apply one, there's danger of increasing the others. When you apply strong mindfulness, there's a danger of your mind being withdrawn, and with that mind withdrawn, there's a danger of sinking and laxity. In order to overcome that, you apply more stronger alertness, and with that strong alertness, it helps you to not to fall in sinking and laxity, but then it creates another dangers of excitement. And so therefore, again, we have to be very attentive, make sure that that we don't fall into that kind of excitement. Because once you are aware there's danger, then you try to be more attentive to make sure that it doesn't fall in that. And so when we recognize there is a danger of excitement, and if there is conditions that is starting to create for the excitement to arise, immediately we try to apply whatever antidotes, whatever technique, so that we don't fall into that excitement, that danger of excitement. Then the seventh, complete pacifications. So by here, we have completed the power or the force of, by here, we have completed the power and the force of mindfulness and introspection. And because of that, there's no more danger of even the subtle sinking and distractions. There's no more danger of, the sinking and excitements or distractions, even the subtle ones, which are the interference to develop the meditative concentrations, So therefore, the balance of our meditation, the balance cannot be upset, cannot be disturbed by even the subtle sinking and distractions, But we haven't fully destroy or abandon the subtle sinking and excitements, even though it cannot disturb us. In some of the commentaries, it gives an example of like that. The enemy hasn't been destroyed, but enemy has lost the power. The enemy is still there. It hasn't been destroyed completely, but it has a powerless that it cannot hurt you anymore. Do you get it? The enemy is still there, but it cannot hurt you, because you made through the completion of the force of mindfulness and introspection, it has destroyed the power of those enemy. And so therefore, and that is done through the power of perseverance, perseverance in here. And then the eighth one, single pointedness, the stages for single pointedness. From here, you have overcome the enemy, the internal enemy of singing and distractions, overcome it. You have destroyed that. But at the very beginning, it requires a little bit of effort. In your meditations, at the very beginning, you need to put a little bit of effort, and then afterwards, effortlessly, you can meditate without any distraction, without any singing, without any interference of that for a long time. For a long time. And then 8, balance placement or setting, and when you reach the 9th stage, then you don't even require any effort, even at the very beginning. Without effortlessly, you can go into this meditations, faultless meditation, without any fault, faultless, perfect meditations, without any effort, effortlessly. And to be able to direct your mind to whatever object you want to direct, So here is balance, you have found the balance so that there is no more interference of thinking or excitement, and even without any effort. And here your mind is being disciplined, your mind is being tamed, you have come to control over your mind. Your wild mind is under control now, it has been tamed. And that, you can direct whatever you want now. Whatever virtual object you want to direct, you are able to direct. And in that meditations, you can remain without, in that state for full session, long sessions. Still in, even when you achieve this 9th stage, still you have not achieved the karma abiding itself. This mind, even though you have tamed your mind, and is known as the kind of the desired mind. So it is, the desired mind, desire mind, the mind of desire still. And in order to achieve the karma abiding samatha, you need to achieve the higher mind. And once you have that, you continue to meditate. You continue to meditate. And as you continue to meditate, get more and more familiarity with that, more and more strong with that, and with the time, not long after that, with the time, then you start to develop cleansing, your first, your physical, your mental cleansing, your mind become much more flexible. Before your mind is inflexible, it doesn't follow where you want it to direct, And now it becomes flexible, wherever you direct, it follow that. Your mind becomes much more flexible again, cleansing, And when your mind becomes cleansing, then it through that, then your mind, much more flexible, become much more flexible. And with that, then it is said, the wind energy that lead to certain wind energy, blissful wind energy to prevail in your whole body, and through that your body started to also feel more light and cleansing. You develop body cleansing, and your body also become, before is stiff, our body can become very stiff, and now it started to become more flexible, more flexible and more light, so that we can remain for a long time in our meditation without feeling kind of tired, without feeling stiffness and all of that, so because of that cleansing and flexibilities. And through that, then the wind energy pervades in your whole body, and then that gives you a kind of physical sensation and of blissfulness. You started to feel blissfulness, physical sensation of blissfulness. And with that bodily blissfulness, then it induces mental blissfulness, mental joy and blissfulness. And it is said, in some commentaries, when you are experiencing that mental blissfulness at the very beginning, because it's something that you have not experienced before, and it is such a blissful, your mind gets a little bit too excited and uplifted and feeling of excitement, a little bit. And so your mind is a little bit kind of unstable, But then in a moment, then your mind started to overcome that feeling of excitement and lift, and then there is more balance and stable blissfulness. And when you have that stable and balanced mental blissfulness, joyfulness, that is then when you achieve the karma abiding shamatha. Okay. So I think with that, maybe, I think I wanted to stop, and then, but I guess my timing is a little bit off. So we will have a 5-minute break before, so we'll have 5-minute breaks. Okay.
That's good. Thank you, Geshe. Good.
Okay. So we have kind of 15 minutes, and I guess we have option to do the meditation or question and answer because I think it's too short to do both of them, even though I was kind of planning to do both of them. So do you want to do what will be more?
Could we do the Oh, sorry, Venerable Indy.
Go ahead, Steffi.
I was just going to say, what would people think about doing the meditation? That would be so good. What are your thoughts? It's up to you, Venerable Indy.
Good. If Geshe,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, we can do that. And if you still have question, maybe hopefully you might be able to bring next time. Or maybe at the end, maybe we might be able to have maybe 5 minutes, something like that. Okay. So again, just try to make yourself comfortable, relax as much as you can. And try to generate good intention that I'm going to do these meditations in order to achieve fully enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. And then let go of any kind of expectations from the meditations. So we'll try to without any expectations. It doesn't matter if our practice meditation turn out to be good or bad or not so great. Just doing the practice is great. So you can visualize the image of any Buddha that you feel more connected or easy for you to visualize. And so in front of you, like 4 inches, not too big, not too small. And try to think it's very heavy, immovable, but with a lot of brightness. And we can try to go in detail, starting with the crown, pinnacle, the head, the ear, the eyes, nose, smiling face, the neck, the shoulder, the hands in the respective posture or mudra. All the robes or garment. And the sitting posture. And now try to hold that image in your mind as much as possible. Don't worry if the image is not clear, even if the shape is not clear. Whatever shape, color you find, just try to hold on that. If you lose the object due to any kind of distraction, thoughts, or different appearance or different objects, be aware of that. Or try to bring your mind back to that, the previous objects, and trying to hold on that. If your mind is singing or having laxity, dullness, You can try to brightening of the light or go in details. Otherwise, just hold on the image, the object. On the other hand, if your mind is too distracted, you can try to bring it back to the objects. And you can even think and visualize the image smaller and smaller, but your mind is more withdrawn from that kind of excitement, distractions. If not, then again, just try to hold on the image. Try not to force yourself to have exact image, shape, color, and so on. Just try to just relax and hold whatever image, whatever color. Then we can dedicate the merit for oneself and all sentient beings to generate the karma abiding and a special insight within our mind stream. And achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. Then we can slowly bring back our focus, attention to the breath. And slowly you can open your eyes. So, yeah. So if there's question, I can take two questions. Yes, please.
Thank you, Geshe. I just want to ask you, surely distraction is one of the biggest obstacles or evil for meditation. And is it true that our mind is always distracted anyway? And it's only when we sit to meditate that we recognize this distraction. That's my first question. And my second question is, if I've been practicing for a long time, like 10 years, more than 10 years of meditation, I don't think I have ever got through the 9 stages of calm abiding meditation. If I never can get there, does it mean that I will never be able to have that experience of like emptiness, the experiential of emptiness?
Mm-hmm. For your first questions, I think even though our mind seems like it's distracted all the time, but that shouldn't be the case. Someone can have a mind which is not distracted all the time. One can develop certain practice. Through the practice, one can be able to reach a point where they don't have to get distracted all the time. You know, not only during the not sitting, but even when they are not sitting, even when they are doing other things, where they can be in moment, in the present, without being distracted others. While you are washing your dishes, where you can still be your mind totally focused in that and not being distracted by other thoughts and other things or any other activities. It is possible the practitioner can reach those points where they don't have to be distracted, not only when they are sitting, but even when they are not sitting. And then, of course, we can reach a point where you don't get distracted at all. That is also, but that is much more kind of advanced. In relation to the second questions, and then as you were saying, definitely, it's not easy to cultivate karma abiding without all the right environment and conditions, external, internal conditions, and time, and from depending on individuals' mental state, depending on individuals' past imprint. Some people can achieve it more quickly than others. Then your next questions, can one have the experiential realization of emptiness without the karma abidings or mental concentrations? Yes, it is possible. It is possible. One cannot develop special insight. Okay? Without the karma abiding, one cannot develop special insight. But one can develop the wisdom realizing emptiness, experiential level realization, even without the karma abiding. One can develop bodhicitta mind, even without karma abiding. So those are possible. But without the karma abiding, one will not be able to develop special insight. If one unable to develop special insight, then you cannot go further than the path of accumulation, the first path. Then you cannot go further to the next path, the path of preparation, path of seeing, all of that. One cannot be able. But even without the karma abiding, one can be able to have those realizations and then to be able to enter the first path of whether it's the bodhisattva. So that is possible. I think I have seen in one of, if I'm not mistaken, I think I might have seen that in Pabonkas where without karma abiding, one can develop bodhicitta mind. And I think I have also seen in one of His Holiness writing, and I've heard His Holiness sharing quite often, where of course from this is all from ordinary kind of expectant perceptions. Okay, we can only see from ordinary perceptions, and so he tried to explain from the ordinary perceptions, and according to that, he explained, he said he have cultivated bodhicitta mind, he has cultivated wisdom realizing emptiness, but quite a few times he said he haven't had the opportunity to develop samatha. He said it required a lot of total dedication with that kind of total silence and all this environment, and because of his responsibility for the Tibetans and for the others, so he had to be engaged in all other different activities, so he never kind of found time to really just, and so he often mentioned, if I have developed the karma abiding, I would be in the second level of the path. He said, so I'm still in the first level of the path, but he said, I hope to be able to progress to the further path soon in that. And so again, that is another way in that his explanation, descriptions, again, it's clear that one can have wisdom realizing emptiness even without shamatha. And he often said, because of the wisdom realizing emptiness, the realization, he said he hardly get any delusion arises, hardly any delusion arises. And so those are again direct experience of that, so therefore it is possible. So I guess that's a good sign for us, hopeful sign for us, I guess.
Yeah, thank you, Geshe. I guess, like you said, a lot of it depends on how much merit you have in this life, whether you get those experiences. So how do you purify to gain more merits so that you can have those better experiences or meditation results?
Most of the great meditation masters advise, including Lama Tsongkhapa, with his own direct experience, their advice, instruction is to combine many practices together. While you try to meditate, whatever subject, whether you are trying to meditate on emptiness, whether you are trying to meditate on bodhicitta, whether you are trying to meditate on karma abiding, whatever subject you are trying to meditate, while you are trying to meditate on that particular subject, at the same time you combine other practice of purification, accumulation of merit, and then to receive the Guru Yoga, to receive the blessings of Guru. And when all these come together, then you can have the realizations. So, there are many forms of purification, whether we do the Vasasala purification, 35 Buddha purifications, or by reciting certain sutras, and there are many different forms of purification. One can engage in those purifications. There are many different ways to accumulate merit. Engage in the offerings to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sanghas, holy objects, creating holy objects, contributing to holy objects, or towards the monastery, temples, sanghas, all of that. Or the practice of many different whether it's the water bowl, whether it's making of the tata, whether it's the making of mandala offerings. So there are many different ways to accumulate merit, different practices. So engaging in one of those practices, applying that, and then starting the practice with Guru Yoga, so that we can have the blessing from the Guru, And so even though we didn't start today, because it's a very short But if you are doing a more and longer, then it is, you can start with and there are many different versions of Guru Yoga. It can be very long, medium, very short. And, one of my teachers, and who's the present Ganda Chiba, who's the spiritual leader of the Gelug lineage, his advice to me, when I was doing retreat and that, is that, morning you do the extensive Guru Yoga, start with the extensive Guru Yoga, whatever practice you do with the Lama Chopa. And then in each other session, you can start with the short, and just starting with the Lama Tsongkhapa Mixema, whether it's a 9-line or 6-line or 5-line or 4-line of that. So 4-line of Mixema, is not a long, and you can start with that, and that will be including the Guru Yoga. So starting with the Guru Yoga, and so each session you start with Guru Yoga. So then combining the other practice. That is why in all the sadhana, in all this practice, there's at the very beginning kind of lineage guru, sometimes extensively short, and then there is refuge bodhicitta, and then 7 merit field, and then 7 limb practices. And then after all of that, then there is the Lamrim meditations, And so you combine all practice together, then with all of that, then it make more easier to have the realizations. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? One more, otherwise we'll do the dedication, final dedications.
Geshe, I have a short question.
Yes, please.
I wonder how do you explain excitement when it says, it's one of the downfalls, excited mind in the meditation. So how do you actually explain what excitement of the mind is, please?
Excitement and distraction are slightly different. The way is a different amount of excitement and different amount of factors. You can say, excitement is, again, we have to understand, because I think maybe in English, when you say excitement, it might have a different coordination than when you use in Dharma term, the excitement, particular mental state, one particular mental state. And in Tibetan is, Gurba, and distraction in Namyan, and that excitement, Gurba, is a very specific distractions, you can say. It is a part of attachment. It's a part of attachments. So it is one of those kind of negative emotions, you can say, is part of negative emotions. Whereas distraction can be virtues as well, While you are trying to focus on that, another virtue thought comes, that is a distractions, because you start thinking of, while you are trying to meditate on that, focus on that, then, if your mind goes towards bodhicitta and thinking of bodhicitta, that is a virtues, but it becomes obstacle, this particular practice, if you are trying to achieve meditative concentrations, So therefore, in distraction, there can be non-virtues, there can be virtues, there can be neutral state of mind, different. But when we talk about particular kind of that particular excitement, then it is a very more specific kind of mental state that is part of the attachments. So that is the difference. Yeah. Okay. So then we can do the dedications. We can make whatever virtues that we have created today, and all 3 times, and all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and all others, due to all of that, may oneself and all sentient beings be able to cultivate karma abiding, wisdom realizing emptiness, and bodhicitta mind within our mind experience. For those who have not already actualized, and those who had already actualized, not diminish but increase more and more. And due to all these virtues, may we be able to achieve fully enlightenment and liberate all sentient beings to that enlightened state. And due to all these virtues, may His Own Dalai Lama, Lama Sabatumbo, all the gurus have long, healthy life. All their noble wishes, projects, activities become successful without any obstacles. And may we always be under guidance and care and never be separated from them in this life, in part or in all future life. And may we always be able to please them through following their advice and practicing those teaching and instructions in our everyday life. And may we be able to follow the perfect example of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And may all our prayer be the same as the prayer made by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of 10 directions. Yawadi Nyuguda Lama Sangye Dugane Towa Chikya Majeva E Sala Gava Chanju Sanjo Rembo Che Magye Pama Kegu Kyawa Nyamba Meba Kongbe Kongbe Pewa Kare Rave Kore Shenga Pendan Dewa Made Sungwe Chere Sungwa Tenzin Kyat Shabe Side Patu Tengyo Tupzu Chanshi Shamgun Kyewe Jinjong Kwe Pesa Shosong Kwe Lema Tudu Afro Duje Pendu Shapten. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Geshe. We look forward very much to welcoming you again next Sunday or your Saturday. So we appreciate very much, Geshe. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Lindy.
Oh, Lindy.
See you.
Thank you, Jen.
See you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geshe.
Annie Boo says thank you.
Okay. Thank you.